Every year, thousands of tons of material from outer space rain down onto our planet's surface.
It's known that 100 metric tons of cometary debris enters the Earth's atmosphere on a daily basis.
Most of the time, we're unaware. But sometimes, it can't be ignored. Around the world, people have reported finding strange matter where these meteors fall. Sometimes it's a gelatinous goo. Other times, it looks like it's raining blood. Some say it's alien life. Now scientists are looking for clues. And what they discover could change forever our understanding of life in the universe. November the 28th, 2001, Manchester, England. Paranormal investigator Stephen Meara receives an urgent phone call.
A couple of witnesses saw some strange lights coming down from the sky one particular evening.
Meara drives to the scene to investigate the report.
The witness claimed that he saw some lights coming down in this local field here.
Meara searches for anything that could have fallen from a recent meteor shower, but finds something completely unexpected.
This is where it was. This is exactly where we found it.
A gelatinous blob.
And it was only when I got about maybe a good few distance, maybe 3 foot away, I could smell it. I could smell sulfur.
It has a smell often associated with meteoric rock, an odor similar to rotten eggs.
I saw it. I thought, well, okay, I'll take a sample. We'll have it looked at by the local university department.
But first, his curiosity takes over, and he reaches out to touch the jelly.
It acted completely something I didn't expect, and that was when it just seemed to just disintegrate into like a liquid straight away on physical contact with my hand.
And the little he's able to recover never makes it to the lab.
It was the following day when I'd noticed that it completely disappeared out of the sample pot.
The strange disappearing jelly isn't like anything Meara has encountered on Earth.
We can only presume that it was something obviously falling from the sky, and it's easy to jump to the conclusion that it might be something referred to as star jelly, which is thought to be possibly meteoric in nature. And that's the only really thing I could think it could be.
Meara isn't the first to discover strange substances after meteor showers. Dr. Dan Rolfe of the Historical Society of Pennsylvania has found hundreds of historical accounts of strange substances falling from the sky, but one story in particular stands out.
Here is an article that's taken from the Philadelphia Inquirer entitled "Flying Saucer Just Dissolves."
1950. It's late evening in South Philadelphia when two policemen see something drop into a field.
They saw through their windshield this object coming down out of the sky.
They immediately radio for backup.
I don't know. It's unknown.
They didn't really know for sure what it was until they got there. And then, of course, when they got there, they discovered this gelatinous type material.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, Frank.
In fact, as the article itself says, one policeman described it as giving off a purplish glow, almost a mist that looked as though it contained crystals.
The officers have never seen anything like it.
And then one of the police officers said, a part of the mass on which he laid his hands dissolved, leaving nothing but a slight, odorless, sticky residue.
The incident inspires a Hollywood cult classic.
Every one of you watching this screen, look out. Because soon, very soon, the most horrifying monster menace ever conceived will be oozing into this theater.
But in real life, the blob is short-lived.
Within 25 minutes, everything was gone.
I swear to God it was right here.
It just quickly evaporated and left nothing. So there wasn't anything to do any type of analysis of. So it's just one of those unsolved mysteries.
Another mystery in a small Pacific Northwest town bears striking similarities. It's August 1994, during the annual Perseid meteor shower, when a strange gelatinous rain pummels the tiny town of Oakville, Washington.
I have never seen anything like this before.
Beverly Roberts discovers the strange substance in her own yard. The mysterious goo covers the branches of her trees.
It used to be here. I had it cut down, but the branches went up there, it went over there, and the gel was just hanging globs down from the branches all over. It was just really kind of gross.
And Roberts isn't the only one in town to find the bizarre substance.
When I came outside, I realized what it was because there had been some talk about it in town. But I picked it up and felt it. Although it was gelatin-like, it didn't melt or anything.
Soon after coming into contact with this gelatinous substance, some Oakville residents get sick.
I woke up and fell on the floor. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't stand up. And anyway, I couldn't figure out what was going on. It was just, I had like a complete extreme vertigo.
Roberts and others seek out emergency medical attention.
I was in the hospital for about 5 days. The ones that did get in contact with it all got sick.
The gelatinous substance continues to appear sporadically around Oakville. A sample of the strange material is brought to the Washington State Department of Health.
We had heard that there was some illness. We were very conservative on how we handled it, so we moved it into our medium containment facility.
Mike McDowell is the state microbiologist assigned to test the mysterious gelatin.
We found 2 organisms, Pseudomonas fluorescens and Enterobacter cloacae.
They are bacteria capable of causing serious illness.
They could cause, urinary tract infections, maybe even septicemia.
But it's hard to believe the toxic organisms came from outer space. McDowell has another theory about the jelly.
It didn't change. And I said, this has got to be some kind of a matrix.
A matrix can be any kind of carrier in which other substances are embedded. They occur naturally, like the protective jelly found around amphibian eggs. But they can also be man-made.
They can carry nerve agents, chemicals, organisms, viruses.
Conspiracy theories about the bacteria's origin make the rounds in Oakville.
Some people were speculating that it could have been the military flying over here and test.
They were completely black helicopters and completely black big planes that would fly really low over here.
And Beverly Roberts remembers seeing jet-made clouds in the months leading up to the gelatinous rain.
We had the chemtrails like crazy, like one beautiful sunny morning on a Sunday. They crisscrossed the sky, and there was like a complete checkerboard basket. They flew this way in straight lines and then this way in straight lines, like a grid.
And according to scientists, what Beverly Roberts witnessed is completely normal.
Contrails, as the word itself, is just a short form for condensation trails.
The collection of droplets and particles that form in the wake of a flying aircraft.
Philip Hopke and Suresh Daniala are aeronautical engineers that insist contrails are a natural phenomenon.
So essentially what's coming out of a jet engine, a jet engine is basically combusting fuel, and if you combust it efficiently, you're breaking it down into carbon dioxide and water.
You take this hot, wet gas and expand it out into a cold atmosphere, little particles or droplets form, and those then scatter light, and scattered light, just like the bubbles in your Coke or your beer, appear white. We get white contrails up at high altitudes.
But McDowell thinks there's more to it. Soon after McDowell raised his suspicions, he says the sample disappeared.
I came in and the material was not where it was supposed to be. I asked management what happened to it, and the exact words, "Do not ask." This material, and I have no proof one way or the other, was manufactured by someone for some purpose, and for some reason Oakville was chosen as a test site.
With the samples gone, there is no way to tell. But then, a concerned resident comes forward with a sample of the goo she has kept in her freezer. The sample provides another opportunity to get to the bottom of the mystery. This time, the substance is given to a commercial biolab for testing.
It was about a pea-sized piece of this stuff. It was really small. It was kind of grayish, whitish gray color. And it was unusual. I mean, it was something that I'd never seen before.
And microbiologist Tim Davis takes a closer look under the microscope.
I did see bacteria. There were bacteria associated with it. It was hard to say if it was a contaminant or what.
And then Davis makes a disturbing discovery. Biologist Tim Davis analyzes the mysterious material that rained over Oakville, Washington.
I did see what I believe to be a eukaryotic cell.
A complex cell with a nucleus.
It looked like a white blood cell in there, and that was really unusual.
Its presence puzzles Davis.
I had my colleague look at it, and he thought the same thing. It just didn't seem like it was something that we should see in this material. It supported the fact that it came from some kind of living tissue or something that had life.
But before they are able to examine the sample more closely, it disintegrates. Just like other star jelly samples from around the world.
It didn't seem to want to stick around very long. We couldn't save it. It ended up basically disappearing, drying up.
But Davis and his colleagues have seen enough to come to a conclusion.
What we saw, didn't look like some man-made polymer. Didn't look like some absorbent material. It seemed biological.
He's unconvinced of an extraterrestrial origin.
I don't really buy into the theory that it came from outer space, but my mind's open to it, so it's possible.
A very real possibility. Murchison, Australia, September the 28th, 1969. In the morning hours, residents of this coastal town see a bright ball of fire shooting through the sky. Then, moments later, it rains rocks. Scientists later collect more than 90 kilograms of meteoric material. Research teams all over the world begin to study the samples, hoping to find traces of organic matter. And they find amino acids. NASA researchers continue to study the meteoric material for years because of the many things it can teach them. And eventually, with the help of new technology, like electron microscopes, they make a discovery.
Within a matter of a couple of hours, we found other very, very interesting filamentous forms.
It's in a meteor that's older than our solar system. But that's not all. Hoover continues his search for evidence of life in meteors. This time with a meteor sample taken from France.
That's the piece I want right there. So we're breaking the meteorite, looking at freshly fractured interior surfaces, so we know that we're finding anything that's present is not a surface contaminant that could have gotten on the stone after it landed. Put it on the stub. Excellent. All right. So we're now ready to take it over and stick it on the electron microscope and see what we can find. Wow. Oh yeah, it's nice.
And again, it's a hit.
Yeah, we want a picture of this area in here with that big long filament coming out.
The evidence on these meteorites lends credibility to the theory that the cells found in the rain from Oakville might have come from outer space.
I am absolutely convinced that what we're looking at here are the fossilized remains of filamentous prokaryotic microorganisms.
And Hoover believes that live specimens could survive a journey through space to Earth.
I do not think they would be killed as a result of the transit through the atmosphere.
On the other side of the planet, meteor showers bring another strange rain. July 2001, India. People hear an explosion in the sky. Then, as it does every year, the summer monsoon brings heavy rainfall to southern India. But when the rain comes, it is blood red.
In some places, it was very intense. It was as red as blood. The people were so scared, they threw it away.
The blood-red rain terrifies locals.
According to Hindu religion, it is an era of destruction, Kali Yugam, and these are the signs. There will be chaos and it will rain fire.
A physicist at the Mahatma Gandhi University finds those explanations inadequate and decides to take matters into his own hands.
I have heard about the news reports, and as the days went by, it became more and more mysterious. What it is, nobody seems to give a clear answer, because so from that moment I was interested in that.
At first, the Indian government declares the rain is stained red from dust that's blown in from Arabia. But Godfrey Louis doesn't buy it. He's convinced there's something unique about the red rain and collects samples from villages around Kerala. And sure enough, under an electron microscope, the red particles don't look like dust at all.
It's quite exciting to see this.
The Kerala rain appears to contain biological cells. Just like the gelatinous rain that fell over Oakville, Washington.
They look like red blood cells, but they are not, because this is having a very thick cell wall, and that cell wall is not there in the blood cells.
Next, Louis and his team look for signs of DNA to determine what exactly these mysterious cells are and where they came from. But the results are shocking. There is no DNA. To Dr. Louis, the tests can only mean one thing.
The staggering claim is that this is possibly extraterrestrial. That's a big claim, I know.
The red rain is sent to international universities for further study. Historian Dan Rolfe has studied many accounts similar to the red rain of Kerala and the gelatinous rain from Oakville. Some of the reports date back to medieval times.
We've got 21 million manuscripts, we've got 700,000 books, 500,000 graphic items. One of those things is the Magna Britannia. This was published in 1720. It says, our chronicles inform us that in the year 1176, it rained a shower of blood for the space of 2 hours together in this isle. And the same is reported to have happened at Poole in Devonshire on June the 20th, 1653. And this appeared on the 20th of January, 1893, and it's an article entitled Queer Phenomenon. The article itself says that a white thread-like substance fell to the earth in large quantities. This is from the Baltimore Daily Gazette. It was on a Monday for October the 10th, 1864. On the second page, it's entitled, the article is, A Rare Meteor. It says a large meteor was seen to fall on the night of the 9th ultimate. On visiting the spot the next morning, a mass was found of a gelatinous, light-colored, semi-transparent substance described by some parties to be as large as a hog's head. A specimen from the mass was presented to the Natural History Society. Although tightly corked in a bottle, it had diminished considerably in bulk and was partially dissolved. It was of a light straw color, had a strong odor of sulfurated hydrogen with a sulfurous taste, which is a common description of similar meteorite falls. Across time, across culture, it doesn't matter. You get these same elements with meteorite falls time and time and time again. You have the sticky residue, you have the gelatinous substance, you have something that looks like coagulated blood. From a scientific standpoint or historical standpoint, that, wait a minute, there's something going on here.
Global reports of strange rains and mysterious substances falling after meteor sightings lead some to believe alien life might be pollinating our planet. The nation's capital is home to NASA headquarters. And Planetary Protection Officer Cassie Conley.
We're T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
It's her job to ensure we don't pollinate other worlds with biological material from Earth.
And liftoff of Shuttle Endeavour.
And to protect our planet from life forms encountered in space.
Basically, we don't want to colonize another planet inadvertently, and we don't want to cause the Andromeda strain if we're bringing something back.
But she's not worried by reports of red rain or star jelly.
I haven't seen any evidence that would convince me that the red rains of Kerala or that star jelly is something from outer space rather than a normal Earth phenomenon.
And she is not concerned aliens are on their way.
Anything that's living out in space has been waiting an awfully long time to find a human to eat.
Or that they've ever arrived.
I do sometimes get called when there are reports of life from other planets coming to Earth. But in the studies that have been done of those meteorites, there hasn't been yet convincing evidence shown that there is life from other planets.
But that could all change.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday edition of Out of Doors, live here on BBC Radio Scotland. We've been investigating sightings of a mysterious luminous jelly discovered around the Scottish countryside.
Star jelly sightings after meteor showers occur around the world. But recently, many reports are coming from Scotland.
It just got weirder and weirder and weirder.
And in the past week, we've been asking you to help us find some more slime. This whole story unravelled about how it's been in the literature for hundreds of years. You know, in German they call it star snot, in Wales, you know, it's slime from the sky. Fascinating stuff. And then we got another phone call saying, I've got some. The guy actually said, I've captured some of your slime. It's in my fridge. So I hurtled down the road, got this stuff, took it to scientists, and the scientists, we have no idea.
The BBC report gets an international response.
We had over 500,000 hits on our webpage in the first week. So, you know, this is a fantastic global mystery. So we've got Nikki who wrote in about jelly substance. This is nothing new. I've come across it as long as I can remember. Hope you find out what it is. I'm dying to know.
We've got a new one.
A sample of a recent discovery makes its way to Scotland's Macaulay Institute for testing.
Okay, so we've got a new sample here, and can't actually get much from the photograph. So this is from last week, collected in Bathgate. We're going to have a look at it under the microscope and see if we can see any structure in it.
Field biologist Andy Taylor is not convinced that the jelly has fallen from the sky. He has a much simpler explanation.
I'm sure there's a range of different explanations, but all of the material I've seen, and it's only maybe 3 or 4 samples I've seen so far, they've all been this amphibious material. It looks very similar to frog spawn.
Photos of alleged star jelly are delivered to an expert in amphibian behavior at Clarkson University in upstate New York for further analysis. And when biologist Tom Langan looks at them, he comes to a very different conclusion.
Well, I've got some images here that are ones that people have submitted that they found. So if we look at this one, does that look like anything like...
Doesn't seem like it has anything that could be frog jelly or frog spawn. There's no, doesn't seem like there's any cells in it.
No, there's no cells. You can just, it's amorphous. You don't see the distinct egg capsules. Very large masses falling in unusual places. It baffles me how that would happen and have a source from amphibians.
Only a DNA test of the Scottish sample will reveal its origin. Andy Taylor prepares the sample for DNA testing, hoping to discover its mysterious origin. He's convinced it didn't come from space.
If you look at the texture of it, there's absolutely no way that it could survive coming through the atmosphere, unless you're thinking it's inside the meteor.
And indeed, many meteors are more than just solid rock. Some meteors are frozen balls containing a mixture of ice and minerals. Meteorite finds in the past prove that they can maintain a frozen core during entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Theoretically, anything frozen in this core could remain intact upon landing. At Clarkson University in New York, Dr. Tom Langan has prepared a test to find out. He uses frozen frog spawn as the stand-in for the mysterious star jelly.
So the question we're trying to answer today is whether a substance similar to egg jelly around an amphibian egg, if it were somehow transported by an extraterrestrial object, could it survive that travel and be deposited on Earth?
Langan has exposed samples of the egg jelly to conditions similar to what they might encounter in outer space. Temperatures in outer space vary greatly, from -100 degrees Fahrenheit to boiling heat in the presence of a star like our Sun. This sample was heated in an oven and frozen overnight in a sub-zero freezer, exposing it to temperature extremes it would encounter in space. However, simply freezing biological material doesn't guarantee preservation.
The process of freezing can cause biochemicals to break down.
First, Langen attempts to rehydrate the dried-out sample. As if it were unfrozen and exposed to water upon landing on Earth. The water re-inflates the dried-out film back to a gel. Then, Langen examines the frozen sample, which is now thawed.
If you'll see right here, it's very jelly-like. And in fact, look what's happened. It's formed one mat that sticks together.
His findings support the theory that a biojelly could safely travel to Earth in the frozen core of a meteor. If the biological material discovered in the samples from India, Oakville and Scotland did in fact travel to our planet inside meteors, it's possible meteors could also deliver living biology to our planet. The Department of Biology at the University of North Carolina. Here, biologist Bob Goldstein and his team study animals that could survive a rocky ride through space.
So this is a tardigrade. It's walking around in the bottom of the dish here.
Tardigrades have been around for over 600 million years. They're the ultimate survivors. They measure only 1/4 of a millimeter, but are fully developed animals.
Tardigrades are a lot more complicated than something as simple as bacteria. They're multicellular animals. They have eyes and legs and walk around like we do.
But what makes tardigrades particularly fascinating is their unique survival mechanism. This lab test demonstrates tardigrades become virtually indestructible when their bodies dehydrate. The body stops all movement. The legs disappear, and the tardigrades shrink into a ball. Scientists call this mass a ton.
When tardigrades enter the ton stage, their metabolism has stopped and they can survive incredible conditions. They'll survive down to below 1 degree Kelvin, which is close to where molecular motion completely stops.
They can also survive temperatures as high as 424 degrees Kelvin, or 303 degrees Fahrenheit.
They'll survive extremes of temperature, extremes of pressure, extremes of radiation.
Qualities that would make tardigrades the perfect space traveler.
It's as if they're dead, but they're called cryptobiotic. They're in cryptobiosis, which means that it's as if they're dead, but if you add water, then they revive and they walk away.
It's a simple procedure that brings the dehydrated tardigrades back to life.
If this worked well, they should sort of re-inflate with the water, and then within a few hours, they'll start walking around. The dried out tardigrades are in there. And I add the water. They start filling with the water and growing a little bit as that happens. The legs come back out. And then in the next few hours, they should start walking around in there.
In 2007, scientists even exposed tardigrades to the vacuum of space to further study this amazing survival technique.
When they brought them back down, they added water to them and they walked away just fine. They produced embryos again.
It's an astounding capability, suggesting that alien organisms could reach our planet on a meteor. And back in Scotland, results of the DNA tests from the mysterious jelly samples are in.
Hi Andy, I've got results that you're wanting from that new sample of the jelly from Bathgate.
Okay, great.
We tried to extract DNA from the sample, which we did, and then we amplified up the DNA and we sequenced that DNA. Unfortunately, all we could get was the fungi that was colonizing it. So we were not able to get any DNA that was not of fungal origin.
It seems the only life present in this sample is from Earth. And Taylor feels the outcome proves his case.
I don't think it ever came from outer space. I'm not a great fan of panspermia, which is the origin of life elsewhere.
But a world-renowned astrophysicist at Cardiff University in Wales thinks differently. And now, he may have found the missing link that proves alien life rains down on Earth.
It's known that something like 100 metric tons of cometary debris enters the Earth's atmosphere on a daily basis. A large amount of that, large fraction of that, is organic, and that also there is not a lot of dispute about that.
Chandra Wickramasinghe is one of the leading scientists investigating modern panspermia theory. The theory of panspermia states that comets and meteors seeded life on Earth. And this process continues.
Panspermia is not something that would have stopped 4 billion years ago.
And the proof might be found in the little red cells from the red rain in Kerala, India.
This is the original sample diluted several times, I gathered, because they're running out of the original red rain.
The first tests confirm that the cells are indeed of biological origin.
They have extremely thick cell walls, maybe several layers of cell walls.
And they exhibit other strange characteristics.
We detected high amounts of calcium and titanium, unusual elements that we don't find in normal cells.
Further lab tests reveal more surprising capabilities.
They have been shown also to be resistant to ultraviolet, to shock treatment and so on. So they have all the characteristics of being space travelers.
That's not all. The cells contain markers telling the scientists they contain DNA. But they cannot identify its specific structure because they don't have anything to compare it with.
We don't have a close enough match to any known microorganism that it's sort of signaling an alien origin.
And now, Wickramasinghe's team has made an even more unexpected discovery.
We've discovered only weeks ago that the red rain cells, when they are subjected to 130 degrees Celsius temperature in an autoclave, could reproduce.
These cells are not only designed to survive a trip through Earth's atmosphere, they thrive in it.
They are the most thermophilic, heat-loving of organisms that are known on Earth.
For Wickramasinghe, this is a monumental discovery.
We have not proved an alien origin, but I think the alien origin is sort of looming large on the horizon.
And this might also be the case for many of the star jelly sightings.
Red rain has been reported almost from biblical times and allegedly earlier than biblical times. And likewise, the star jelly has had a very long history. This leads me to think that we cannot rule out the possibility of a connection.